Welcome to this new episode of CX Punctuct. I remember you guys the philosophy on this video blog, and it stays exactly the same as in the past. So pure punk nature, we want to promote individual freedom and anti-establishment view in customer experience world. The format stays always the same. It's one-to-one. It means one guest, two questions for one challenging customer management topic. Our guest today is Catharina van Delden. Welcome, Catharina.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No problem. And Catharina is CEO and co-founder of InnoSabi in Germany. She's working in the area of the innovation. And people will ask, why do we have today someone outside, the customer experience religion? Well, personally, I think that innovation is, first of all, an important topic. And then if you work in customer experience and voice of the customer, one of the outcome of your work must be innovation. And I think Catharina can really bring us, a different point of view on customer experience, and also explain how innovation can improve customer experience and vice versa. So what kind of insights customer experience can trigger to innovation. But first of all, Catharina, tell us a little bit about you and how you become an expert in the innovation field.
Well, the question is if you ever can truly be an expert on a subject that's constantly changing, but I'll try.
Well, probably you will have a secret about that.
Maybe.
But
maybe
don't
at the
share
end.
With us. Don't share with us.
You can have a cliffhanger in the next episode. Share my secret. I'm the founder. I'm a co-founder and CEO of the company InnoSabi. We develop innovation management software, which has a very specific view on innovation. We basically say innovation today is not a process that happens only inside companies, but it's really an interconnected process with the whole ecosystem of a company. And obviously, customers, consumers are a really important part of that process. So basically doing that for 12 years now with various customers from all industries. Could be, customers like Siemens, Daimler, Allianz, basically from every industry you can think of. But to see that in every industry, the challenges are very similar, and the questions is specifically on how to integrate customers and how to work with customers are very similar. That's why I draw my experience on that I want to share today.
Perfect. So I will have your first question, and it's really linked to customer experience and voice of the customers. So why are customer and user valuable stakeholders for innovation initiatives, and what exactly do they bring to the table? Can you help us to better understand this point, and also to suggest us how to do, and to execute this process?
Yeah, probably everybody who's watching this video will automatically know, or just from a gut feeling say, obviously users are important for an innovation process, but unfortunately that is not the case if you look at the general economy and industry at companies. To actually actively involve customers and users in an innovation process for a reason that I don't understand is a rather recent phenomenon. Because you might think, if you want to create something new for the customer, why not ask them? But it's really, and I think that has to do with two different angles or perspectives on the topic. First of all, it drastically changing behavior, customer behavior in times of digital. We as customers, we as consumers, we know we have a completely different voice than ever before. If we are not satisfied with a product, we just post it on social media and we have a reach like we've never had before. And this is actually something that companies do take very seriously. And also to be able to build a very different kind of customer relationship that is a lot more one-to-one over digital tools that kind of laying the basis for this. On the other hand, I think competition has become so much faster and quicker in times of digital that companies realize they can only win if they actually build products that that customers love, you know, and for that you really need deep insight and deep understanding of customers' needs and wishes and how they actually live their lives. And well, the easiest way to find out about, you know, these circumstances is to not ask them by, let's say, market research that is just a standard survey and doesn't have real communication. But the best way to find out is to have an actual relationship, have actual conversations, and to work together with customers and consumers. And so I'd say that is really the number one, you know, to find out about needs, about behaviors, about wishes. And also by doing that, you can very quickly identify how a market is shifting, you know, where is future trends, where are needs emerging that might not have been there before, and how you can answer on that. And while having that conversation, you can basically play on the back on the first point and build a very valuable customer relationship.
Okay, very interesting, because you know, I think I got, you know, while you were explaining this, a couple of interesting points. One is, you know, our friend Steve Jobs that always said, when you want to create something, and I'm not talking in particular about innovation, could be a product, but he was always saying, and what is one of my favorite video, start with the customer experience in mind. You know, don't start with technology. There is a very famous video in the internet about that. So what you want your customer to experience and basically you know, bring to them that, because this is the most important part in order to create sticky products. In
Yes.
that video, it explains multi-billions products, because of course he was able to create that. On the other hand, I remember there is a famous quote of Henry Ford that say, if I would ask my customers what they wanted, they ask faster horses instead of cars. So how do you see this, you know, this difference? So if we take genius that really revolutionized the world with innovation, where the voice of the customer or the customer feedback or observing the customer entering the game?
That's actually that's a very famous quote that you know, is that I like, to be honest, because it's very true. It kind of true in a sense of that you need to, as a company, you need to ask yourself, what kind of information do I expect from what kind of person in my network, in my ecosystem? And so let's say if you say you want from a customer, you want information about their needs, about or feedback on existing products, you know, maybe there are some who have those brilliant market changing ideas, but it's probably not the first topic that you would approach them with, you know, if they have a completely new technology. That's something more that you might want to collaborate with, let's say, suppliers, or find people in your own organization. And this is actually why we always say that, you know, the customer co-creation part is basically one super important puzzle piece in the whole ecosystem. But obviously, as important as it is, it shouldn't be the only one, because you know, you might get some feedback on faster horses, or if the horses could be getting better food to be faster, you know. But then again, you might be talking to somebody who's working on a technology innovation as your supplier, who then helps you to come up with the car, you know. So in a sense, you know, that quote sometimes implies that maybe you should not talk to your customer, or not as much, but I think that's definitely wrong. You know, you should it should be a very central pillar of your innovation strategy, but obviously it shouldn't be the only one.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for this. Yeah, sometimes, you know, the quotes and the point of view on a certain point of view are Taliban, are really, you know, radical. So I totally see your suggestion. So, but become a little bit more practical now, you know, thinking also what you have described so far. How can you really integrate customers and users into the innovation process? So what do you need to change in the organization in order to be able, you know, to bring these components and make sure that these components then deliver in innovation?
Well, on the first part of the question, how to do it, I'd say there are actually various tools that you can use, and it depends a bit on the size of your organization and the size of the pool of customers you want to talk to, or what kind of approach you want to choose. If you, let's say, a rather small company, you might be able to have this interaction by social media already. You know, have some interaction on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and get your questions answered and do all these. If you're a larger organization, you probably need tools that are more tailored to actually help you to bring those insight and what you've learned in a structured manner into the organization, and to make it to have like a specific tool to do that. And what you can do, I'd say, are a couple of use cases. One that is actually very that customers love is prototype testing. So it could be a digital prototype, or obviously that is kind of intuitive and easy. You know, you could basically just click through an app or something, give your feedback on how you like it. But the motivation of consumers is actually extremely high also if it's tangible products. You know, if you can send something out by mail, if you can try it at home, and then give your feedback in a digital manner. So that's like a very fun, highly motivating, highly engaging, and easy to do to use case. One that is a little bit more complex, I'd say, is really we call that crowd innovation, where you might start with, please describe what are your needs, what are your, for example, describe how you pass your Sunday morning, or, you know, some kind of like situations in the user's life, and then from that extract what is actually the problem that we want to use, and then ask how we solve that problem, and sometimes even give people tools, the customer, the tools to visualize their ideas, you know, to actually not only describe them, but maybe provide, let's say, a digital toolkit to sketch an idea, to or we've had customers even send out material to build products at home. Let's say there was, for example, one shower gel that was, you know, co-created, and it was, the question, that's a very incremental innovation, but a good example. And the question was, what kind of flavor do you want next? What kind of, you know, scent? And they were sent out different scent samples that they could mix at home, and then say, well, I would take 2 parts of that one and 1 part of that, and then I put some blue color in it. So basically the message behind that is also to not only ask the customers, but give them something to be, so that they're able to express their ideas better, some tools and way to do that. And well, the last option, we call that the supercharger, that goes a bit more into almost like market research like interaction, where you might have some surveys or anything, and sometimes you just need some quantitative feedback, but obviously that's not as like fun and engaging. Now I missed out on the second part of your question, what has to change inside an organization, which is almost like a whole own complex in itself.
I can imagine.
Well,
first of all, using your software, your platform.
Yes, of course. Well, as a founder and CEO, I should.
First of all, but that usually, you know, it's interesting because, of course, you offer a technology to support that process. So, in my opinion, you have clearly in mind what is the process. Otherwise, you could not have the technology to do that.
Yes. That is that's actually very true. You know, if you start this kind of project to co-create, to build innovation with consumers, you should always think about what's the process that the results actually come into the organization at the relevant point where it's needed, you know, because let's say you do it from a social media perspective, as I just mentioned, you know, as a smaller organization, it might get stuck with the social media team or the marketing team, but you really want the insights to come to the product people, to people in development, and who actually work on the product concept. So the process is actually something we should really think about in terms of what has to change in organizations. But I'd say even more important than that, and it's kind of fluffy and hard to grasp, and probably a topic that is talked about way too much on a high level, is the company culture. Because this kind of approach really implies that you have to take the customer really seriously. It's not, we have this horrible word in German which is called basically Verbraucher, so somebody who uses your
really
product
horrible,
only.
by the way.
Sorry?
Sounds really horrible, by the way.
Yes, it is. It is. No, but it basically just means somebody who's just the user of your product, but who doesn't really have a voice or something to say. Basically, they should leave the money with you, and then that's it. But to have a company culture that appreciates this kind of relationship, and to really take not only the customer but everybody else seriously, and say everybody can have a good idea, everybody should be heard, and to have this kind of mindset, you really need a certain openness, transparency, and ideally very low hierarchical structures, to make it possible. And obviously, to drive a culture like this, it's not something that if your company is not like that from day one, or currently, it's a long and hard process, to change things, because culture basically is defined as how things are done at a company. And to change that as a very general mindset, that is quite a large task.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Catharina. I have a long list of questions, so probably we will have to organize another episode of the CX Punk Chat, but we keep this episode short because,
Yes.
we need to provide a short and insightful experience to the people that follow the blog. So thanks a lot, and as I said, probably we will have a second episode because I have other questions.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, and thanks a lot for the people that watch this video blog, and we are coming soon with another episode. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good day.